don't think there's ever been a time in my life in which I did not think music was a part of drawing a breath each time you breathe, stay alive during the day. Music is everywhere, in the air, in the food one eats, and the sleep one sleeps, and the dreams one dreams. I don't recall ever having thought of it as a separate entity, but rather part of my very fiber. And with our fiber, we naturally express ourselves. Now we have to learn how to do so with some degree of refinement. And with that comes authenticity to performance. But music and I are somehow the same, and I think that's true of every human being. Music is part of the atmosphere of every living, breathing creature.
Gerre as the ultimate cantor. I mean, there's no other person in the United States that does all of the things that he does related to church music. I mean, he's sort of the modern-day Ameircan Bach. I mean, he improvises, he composes, he conducts, he does it all. Plays the repertoire.
You either have it or you don't. And Gerre has it in spades.
He has so many arts, he has so many abilities, but I think the greatest thrill that I have received from him is in the context of service playing, because he really inspires people to sing.
I walked around in a sort of state of, I could sing the hymns, but I knew there was something else inside that had given my soul wings.
Gerre was going to do the improvisation, and where I was in the procession, sort of toward the end, we were just turning the corner and heading up the center aisle, and he went into some wild, mad improvisation. I just thought I was going to spiral through the ceiling, and I remember it to this day.
Gerre's whole basis for the music he has done in the church has to do with his faith. And his musical ability, talent, brilliance, genius, whatever you want to call it, simply rounds that out.
He evoked this enormous sense of desire to praise God with our voices and hearts. Extraordinary.
That's the gift, the great gift, because it really took all of us to that transcendent level, which brings us into that realm of inspiration, real inspiration. There was always something in that service. I left every time feeling there was magic somewhere in that service, often a number of places. But I always left feeling, gee, that psalm, that moment in the psalm, or that moment in the Gloria of the Magnificat, or in the anthem, or this twist that a hymn took all of a sudden.
You know how you hear something, hear a great musical performance, you see a great work of art, and it kind of skips your mind and goes straight to the gut? Well, that's what Gerre has always done. Every service I attended at St. Thomas, where Gerre was playing, conducting, always seemed too short because it moved so beautifully. And always moved to a climax of some kind.
He had this great genius for helping people to enjoy worship.
And I think that came in terms of how he communicated with his choir. It came in terms of how he communicated with people in the pew when he would accompany a hymn or improvise. I mean, a master communicator on multiple levels.
I have one word to describe my feelings during the liturgy in any part of it, either the entrance hymn, the introit, or whatever was being sung. One word: exaltation. I always felt, truly and very powerfully, that I was as near to heaven, at the worship of heaven, as a human being could be.
I'm Nathan Fletcher, and I am in 7th grade. It's my 4th year here at the choir school, and I was with Dr. Hancock for 2 years, and yeah. And I'm Zach Fletcher. I've been here for 3 years. This is my 4th, and I'm Nathan's twin brother. And I'm sorry.
Often with the children, it's not a kind of amusement where you're laughing at someone. It's just that they're so adorable. And it is really just wonderful to watch them come out of there. They're just these little teeny tiny things when they come there, and they're 9 years old.
Dr. Hancock was really friendly all the time. He would always be really happy. And it seemed that he was really enjoying himself, and he would make it so that we enjoyed ourselves too.
Children just have naturally beautiful voices. Very few children cannot sing. What they really need is encouragement. They're capable of so much, and it is just so delightful and delicious to watch them come alive and express themselves with abandon, because they're not self-conscious. Children are different than adults in terms of the way they handle performance. We teach them fear. That's what we have to realize. We are very good at teaching children how to be afraid.
I don't know how difficult the B minor Mass of Bach is.
On Monday, we'd get up, and there would be no choir that day because we had done 3 services the day before. On Tuesday, we would have an evensong and a rehearsal in the morning, plus the classes as usual. And on Wednesday, there would be a Eucharist around noon at the church that we would rehearse for also in the morning, and Thursday, another evensong. But Friday, just a rehearsal, and Saturday, we'd walk to the church in the morning and have an hour-and-a-half rehearsal. And on Sunday, the younger boys, we would have to sing a 9 o'clock service separate from the 11 o'clock service. And we would do that with Mrs. Hancock. Around after lunch, we'd go back to the school and have another service, evensong, which was at 4 o'clock. And just do that over and over again.
I became vaguely aware of the boy choir tradition probably when I was in college. That wonderful Wilcox recording of Howells. And that was really where I first began to put two and two together and realize that, hey, you know, this is the most miraculous kind of choral tradition. And oh yes, so Gerre Hancock is one of the ones who directs these kind of choirs.
When I started becoming aware of the boy choir tradition, it was through recordings from St. Thomas, but also from England, King's and St. John's, Cambridge. And I was smitten by the sound and the repertory, and just started paying attention to that world in the United States.
And of course that tradition had begun at St. Thomas with the erection of the new church in 1912, when they brought T. Tertius Noble from England.
Dr. T. Tertius Noble came from York, from the Minster in York, the cathedral where I myself was ordained. So it has meant a great deal to me that he comes from York to New York and establishes very much in a sort of English genre the music that they were singing in the 1917, 18, 19 time.
And then, of course, there was William Self, and he Gerre, had all of these traditions to uphold.
I was very much a cathedral music lover. And I suddenly found that I got this in my lap. I watched Gerre make that choir into the choir it was. When I first came, the standards weren't what he was looking for.
We're building a professional choir here. Breathe and do it. Come on. Oh, that's little voice stuff.
But with holy exaltation.
You got the wrong tune. You've lost your head voice again. Do you know what you just did? You went,
Gerre probed and prodded those kids in the choir until one of them got the head tone. And when one of them discovered this lovely sort of ringing head tone, then it was like measles. The choir, all the choir got it within their first week.
Yeah, that's rather good. Let's all do it.
I'll never forget those early Sundays when a fullness of the glory of choral music suddenly began to come into flower.
If somebody by accident or by design makes the noise you want to sing, that's it. With children, this is especially effective. You say, that's what we all want to do. Who else can do that? And suddenly, little hands fly up, and we're on our way to making progress.
Beautiful. Thank you, choir. Thank you very much. See you in the morning. Good night's sleep.
I don't like to rehearse with the piano more than I have to, or a pitch instrument more than is required. But otherwise, I don't really hear what's going on, where it's being generated, where the pitch is flagging or where it's sharpening, unless I do walk around amongst the singers.
Excuse me, just two places.
And sometimes I will even sing with my decrepit and terrible voice, but at least I get the idea of the style and how to project the words.
I have a yellow lab, and I know from going to dog training classes that there's so much in common between training a really lively animal like that and training a boys' choir. You have to know what the boys wanted themselves. In the same way that a dog trainer knows that the dog wants a morsel, wants a treat, or the dog wants to go outside and chase a squirrel. If they were in the mood to work, he'd work them hard. If they were in the mood to play, he'd play, but play in a way that would get them to learn the music sort of through the back door.
In Venice, in the huge church with the 10-second echo, someone in the back must have dropped something, or dropped something heavy like a roll of carpet, and it made a huge noise. And then the whole choir, while we were rehearsing, we sort of just jumped. And then Dr. Hancock went like this, like he had been shot, and everyone in the choir laughed.
It was business as usual, these daily rehearsals, but it was fascinating how he got under the treble's skins and really won them over all the time, just through an incredible combination of humor and this driving work ethic.
He rode them with a very light rein, but he still had the reins.
Gerre always taught in the most gracious way, too. It was always infused with humor, sometimes lathered with sarcasm, and always there was double entendre. Always.
Now let's sit up really straight, otherwise the camera will think we are deformed children.
There was a layer for the boys, there was a layer for the teens, and there was a layer for the adults. And he had the great genius of being able to make one statement, and it meant a different thing to each group in his own inimitable way. Well, when we're done with this evensong, we're going to go back and have some of Uncle Gerre's very special iced tea.
This culture of the choir school was all sports, and after a few years of Gerre being there, conversations among the boys were not so much about sports as about, don't you think the Poulenc Mass in G is a really cool piece? I think the whole boy choir tradition in ecclesiastical settings would have died long ago in this country if it weren't for Gerre's reviving it and making it, by virtue of that fabulous location in the crossroads of Manhattan, making it something that everyone could come to, find easily through his recordings of the choir, hear what they were doing, and hear the improvement from when he took over in 1971 to the present. Nationwide, the boy choir tradition was kept alive, is being kept alive through Gerre's influence.